You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
Seattle finishing 2021 strong on an up note with a record. Sea-Tac Airport canceled most incoming and outgoing flights in the world. That's what a website says. What's going on? I mean, we know that, all right, we know that, we got a little weather here in Seattle. A little bit of snow came down, icy. We know that airlines are, they've had some tricky times because you're shut down. Oh, you're open, you're shut down. What's going on? And then we've just got this whole 10 days to 5 days CDC guideline thing that might have to do with the airlines. We're not really sure. We're just doing different stuff now. Now we seem to be more concerned about having society just move along and the economy just do its thing, and instead of this incessant COVID thing, right? I mean, that feels like what we're doing. So we're talking about airplanes and cancellations today. That's what we're doing. All right. Before we jump on in, if you're new, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies. I am still currently recovering from Omicron. Well, we're going to do this thing anyway. All right. Let's go. Sea-Tac Airport canceled most incoming outgoing flights in the world. I saw that headline. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that one because that's funny. Most flights in the world. Inside Sea-Tac Airport, it's still long lines, delays, and tired travelers like Ethan Ford stranded from another flight cancellation. Data from FlightAware.com shows Sea-Tac Airport has seen the world's highest number of incoming and outgoing flights canceled in the world. Amid staffing shortages and these weather conditions, travelers are hoping for some relief. I don't think they're going to get any. I don't think this is a situation where the holidays end, and then things just kind of miraculously just go back to where they were, which was less flights canceled. I don't think that's the case. I think that the conditions that we've got going on here are going to continue on through January, who knows, February, March, as people start to travel more and more, and with as many people that have called out sick in all industries. The Omicron has hit everywhere, and that's why we're kind of changing things up on the CDC level. Whether they make sense or not, we don't really know, but it's kind of what we're doing. Amid staffing shortages and these weather conditions, travelers are hoping for some relief. We're waiting for our bags, Ford said. They said they're trying to bring them to this carousel. All right, so if you can, don't travel with a bag that you have to check through. Although I know I had a friend come back from California this past week after Christmas, and I was like, you should just travel with the 14 by 9 by 22 inch bag. You can always put it in the overhead bin, and you don't have to check it through. You just walk off the plane and you're good. That's how I travel. And she was like, yeah, but I had to bring a bunch of Christmas presents home and then bring presents that, family got her that she had to bring back. And I was like, okay, 'tis the season, right? Oh, not fun. Waiting for your bag. But this guy is still waiting, and some passengers said their luggage is still missing. I'm really hoping that's not the case, Ford said. Kate Hudson with the Sea-Tac Airport said that they've had close to 1,500 canceled flights for the month of December, and more than 85% of those coming in just the past 4 days. So this has happened just all of a sudden, all at once. If you don't need to travel this week, consider delaying, Hudson said. Even though the sun is out and the ice is melting and planes are taking off and landing, Hudson said they're going to remain in this vicious cycle at least through the weekend that we're about to embark on here. I'm recording this for you on New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve to you all. I'm going to remain in this vicious cycle at least through the weekend because they're still dealing with fallout from the weather, a crush of holiday travelers, and understaffing at the airlines. So this is the first holiday season, full-on holiday season we've had since the majority of Americans have been vaccinated. And so people are like, we haven't traveled for a few years. Should we go? Let's just go. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? And so people are traveling, and amidst this huge upswing in travel, you got this really contagious variant going on. And I say really contagious because I got it. Because if I got it and it wasn't contagious, that just means I'm even more of a moron than I am or already. All right. So, yep, I just gotta work through that. If you want to hear about my near-death experience, last few podcasts I've talked about it. It wasn't a near-death experience. It was a really, really bad case of a really nasty head cold, but I didn't think I was going to die. I felt pretty sorry for myself. I still do. I'm still kind of working my way through, trying to just feel normal. It's going to take a while, right? You don't get sick overnight and you don't recover overnight. And those are the primary three reasons we see airlines struggle at sea and nationwide, Hudson said. That's the weather, crush of holiday travelers, and understaffing. So we did have some pretty bad weather here, granted. And it even snowed last night. Snowed a bunch, some really big flakes, and it was in the 20s. And yeah, so roads are just kind of crappy. One of the big things that I keep hearing is that if you need to get a ride to and from the airport, a lot of the Uber drivers, they're not driving four-wheel drive rigs, right? So they're not great in the snow, and four-wheel drive doesn't help you on the downslope where you're going down a really icy road. You put that bad boy into four-wheel drive, you just slide into the car anyway, right? So Uber drivers, there's not a lot of them out there. Figure out your ride, your transportation, your ground transportation. Get your ground transportation squared away. So SeaTac officials said long lines could be for taxis and ride-hailing services at the airport. Fewer drivers are expected to be working because of the slick road conditions. And I hate to say it, but so many of the drivers are not native. They're not used to driving in inclement cold weather. Let's just put it that way. They are not from around here and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to drive in it. Some of them do, but very few. And how do I know that? Because I take a lot of Ubers and I always ask them, so what do you think about this? I haven't taken one since the crappy roads because I've got a four-wheel drive and I haven't had an event where I needed to stay there, if you know what I mean. So if you're coming in after 10 p.m., I would think about pre-booking transportation or with friends and family members, Hudson said, because otherwise you might be hosed. At this point, Cameron Soul said he's way past the point of frustration. I say it's more chill, Soul said. He has no choice but to patiently wait for the next flight out. We're hoping for the best so everybody gets home, Soul said. Again, expect ongoing flight cancellations and delays through the weekend, and a lot of passengers still need to be reunited with their luggage, which could take several more days. I don't worry about my luggage as much as just getting home. That's my big thing. And then I'm like, all right, whatever stuff I have with me, it's not that important. I can always replace it because everything I've got that I really, really need goes on my backpack, which is with me at all times. Okay, so now we know SeaTac, world's most cancellations. Let's move on and we'll kind of get a more broad picture here. U.S. Omicron surge causes more flight cancellations and delays. The coronavirus variant has caused staffing issues for the aviation industry. And I recorded a podcast yesterday talking about some people are saying, I'm probably not going to follow the CDC's most recent guidelines because they don't make a lot of sense other than the fact that we're following the CEO's advice of what they would have the CDC do as far as the length of time that you should isolate after having a positive test, mainly because their employees, they're just getting knocked down left and right with cases of COVID because it's super, super contagious. And so CEOs of some airlines, they basically said, yeah, we'd like that cut from 10 to 5. CDC, based on the data and the science, of course, has said, wow, we agree with you. Let's cut her down to 5. Why wouldn't we? No need to test negative to go back to work. You can just go on back. It'll be fine. Wear a mask for the next 5 days. You'll be good. Flight tracking service FlightAware showed 1,222 cancellations and 860 delays within or out of the U.S. around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So you've got 2,000 flights that by noon Eastern Time today on Friday have been canceled. Now, there are normally, I think, 70,000 flights around the world. So you got a couple of thousand, you got a couple of thousand flights canceled, you've got thousands of people who are pissed off. 10% of United Airline flights were canceled, 4% were delayed, 14% of JetBlue airline flights were canceled, and 8% were delayed, and 4% of Delta airline flights were canceled, and 7% were delayed, according to Real-Time Flight Tracker. All three airlines have said that Omicron was causing staffing issues, even as airlines have been hiring and cancellations have been ongoing since Christmas Eve, December 24th. Thousands of cancellations were also reported abroad due to the same logistical issues. So this is not a SeaTac thing. This is not just a U.S. air. It's not U.S. airports exclusively. It's international. It's an international deal because, the Rona doesn't know boundaries of countries. You know what I mean? Severe weather played a role in some delays and cancellations, with snow over the Pacific Northwest last weekend impacting the SeaTac International Airport. We've still got snow on the ground. When I pulled out this morning, there was a lot of snow. It is melting, but it's very cold. But we're at that point where it's sunny today, and I think you're going to see some melt off. It means at night everything freezes over again. It's just kind of a mess, but stay home. Just stay home. Happy New Year, stay home. JetBlue said Wednesday that it would reduce its schedule through mid-January, hoping to give its customers more time to make alternate plans, and Alaska Airlines urged flyers to reschedule for after January 2. They're just trying to buy themselves some time. We're not going to be able to man all of these flights. We're going to have to cancel XYZ flights. So as you, the consumer, the flight person that's going to take a flight, we would encourage you to fly another time. Earlier this week, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shortened the recommended isolation time from 10 to 5 days. We know all about that. Individuals who are infected and asymptomatic may now also isolate for just 5 days, which allows people to go back to work for the airline just that much faster. And apparently, that's what we're concerned with now. So, based on the science, based on the data, we're realizing that the new Omicron variant of the coronavirus, it's just not all that deadly. And, we need people to be able to fly. So that seems to be where our focus is. And we got to keep that economy going. Like Dr. Fauci said, I mean, we got to keep more people in the mix there and working. And, just wear that mask. You'll be fine. In addition, only people who have received a booster shot of the vaccine are exempted from quarantine after being exposed to COVID-19. Is anybody paying attention to this anymore? Or are we all just, the stories I read yesterday are like, well, I'm a doctor and I wouldn't follow the CDC's advice on that. I was like, okay, so I guess we're just kind of picking and choosing which one works for us. Let's see. Here's the matrix of when I got ill. And all right, I'm going to choose that date because that date means that I'm done isolating now. And yippee, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm not doing that. I'm probably only because I still don't feel all that great. And I got infected probably the 20th and we're here the 31st. I'm way past 10 days. I mean, I'm just going to sit at home and feel sorry for myself. I don't know. I still don't feel great. I come here and I podcast because I'm just thinking, all right. And then my body will get back on that normal schedule. And I'm just kind of like, this isn't good. Oh, well, you live and you learn. Don't go out to big holiday parties when there's a very contagious variant on the loose out there, just doing its thing, right? All right. But let's get back to, it's a move that the White House medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and he would not lead us astray. No, sir. He's going to give us the real scoop here. He told CNN would help people get back to the workplace. Where has this been the last year? I mean, Delta CEO 𝑹𝒆𝒂𝒕𝒍 penned a letter to CDC Director Rochelle Walensky last week asking that the agency reconsider guidelines. In other words, would you change them? Because our business model, it's not working out so well, and travel throughout the United States, it's not going great. Could you spot us a 5-day period there? And, we'd really appreciate that. Meaning reconsider guidelines for 10 days of isolation and fully vaccinated individuals who yada, yada, right? So they proposed that. And then the CDC did it. And then people are flipping out, going, we're not going to follow that. No, we only want to follow it when it's really, really harsh and basically just shuts down the economy. That's what that makes us feel safe. We don't want to have anything that actually makes sense and allows society to move through this as it probably should. Nah, we need that whole shutdown thing. Well, we're not doing that right now, and it seems kind of weird, doesn't it? I find it entertaining because it's like, all right, what are we doing? Flight cancellations to spill into 2022 as Omicron and the weather weigh on the airlines. Let's just take a quick peek at this. JetBlue, for instance, will cut 1,280 flights between December 30th and January 13th. Now, might not seem like a lot of flights, but it is. And if you're one of those people that were expecting to fly, that's a hard no-go. Yeah, they just killed my flight. If you got to fly something in the next couple of weeks, yeah, I think I'd probably hard pass, because not just the whole airport thing, the getting to the airport, the having a testing on an airplane. Did you guys see the news story where a lady, where was she going? China or somewhere? I can't remember. She realized, or she took a quickie test on the airplane, and she spent 3 hours self-isolating in a restroom on a plane. Could you imagine sitting in the restroom for 3 hours? I mean, good for her for like figuring out a way to do that. How miserable would that be? Let's see. What else can I look at? And there's no window in the restroom. All right. Nope, I'm still in here. Yep, I'm isolating. Could you put a sign on the door and let other people know that, yep, I'm just doing a little COVID isolation in here because I just tested positive at my seat. Yep, A14 or whatever her seat assignment is. Just how bad? I'm just going to sit in the restroom. And the restroom always has that fan on because of that air circulation thing in the restroom and on the plane. Oh, this has got to be terrible. But she took like a bunch of tests, and they were all negative, and she just felt something in her throat. And so she took another test, and you're sitting on your seat going, oh God, I need to isolate right now. Where can I do that? Must have worked that out with the flight attendant, right? And so flight cancellations will continue into the new year as Blue Airways announced it is cutting cutting a lot of flights. A lot of flights not going out. We entered the holiday season with the highest staffing levels we've had since the pandemic began. Still not enough, and are using all resources available to cover our staffing needs, the airline said. The health and safety of our crew members and customers remains our top priority as we work through this pandemic, and we sincerely apologize for the inconvenience that these schedule changes bring. So, the health and the safety, but we still wanted that 5-day reduction in the number of days needed to isolate if you tested positive. So we got that. We're just going to do our best. It kind of feels like everybody's like, all right, we know the coronavirus is out there. We still want to fly. We feel okay doing it because we've got the jab. We're all jabbed up. There might be an outbreak case out there or two, but we're not afraid. So that's the point we're at. And we're looking at economic stats going, oh, yeah, if this even though the current administration has said that they have, just some amazing economic numbers to stand on, that I've been kind of looking at going, it's interesting. It's interesting. Back to the flight issue. Yeah. If you need to fly anywhere in the near future, maybe try and rework that, because it sounds like it's just going to be a drag. And I've been following this story for like a week now, because I had a lot of family and friends they were supposed to be going places. A couple of my family members that I infected, they were going to go to Mexico. Yeah, I had to cancel their trip. Haven't talked to them since. That's an awkward conversation. So you didn't take that family trip to Mexico that you were really looking forward to, because it's way warmer in Mexico than it is here in Seattle, as you can tell with our flight cancellations because of bad weather. People like to leave that kind of weather here during the Pacific Northwest winters because it's just brutal. So you've got stuff like that going on. This is just going to continue on, I think, through January, because the same things are there. You're going to have some bad weather. You're going to have, we're talking about explosive numbers of the new coronavirus variant, whatever that means. But the good thing is that hospitalizations and death numbers, those don't seem to be marching up. Those seem to be holding steady, if not, considerably less, fractional of what the last two variants have been. So there's that. So is there anything else here? We got cruise ships. Cruise ships stuck out at sea because they've had, just case of the coronavirus, and it's just ripping through them. So I would probably go out on a limb and say I'd be a hard no-go on taking a cruise to anywhere at this point in time. You are literally on a floating petri dish at this point in time. Not that I wasn't, at much different when I was at a concert, about 1,000 people, maybe 1,100 people, indoors with masks off, even though we were supposed to wear masks, I think. Nobody told us really what to do. We just had to get through a metal detector, and we had to show our vaccine, paperwork, and our driver's license, and have a small pat down in order to get into a concert on the 17th or the 17th of December. And that's probably where I got it. So, if you're willing to do that, maybe you're willing to take a cruise. I'm not, but cruising's not really my thing either. It's like they tell you where to go and you get off when they tell you to get off, and you're in this country now, and hey, look, there's water. You got water all over out there. Yeah, that's kind of what you get on a cruise, right? Some people really like cruises, but I'm not a fan. I like to go out and do my own thing and explore a country when I'm there. So we got 86 cruise ships with COVID-19 cases right now. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say maybe traveling right now isn't where you want to be. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe stay home with a good book. Are we sounding really old? No, we're sounding reasonable. We're sounding reasonable, and that's kind of what we do here. But I think you're going to see this narrative keep on going, because none of these issues are going to go away in the next few weeks. I think it's going to take through January at least to kind of work our way through some of this, and some of the initial record-setting numbers of flights canceled in SeaTac, that'll go away. That kind of stuff will go away. But the ongoing thing with the airlines, when the airlines ask the CDC, hey, would you mind? Would you just do a brother a solid and reduce that by a quick 5 days? Yeah, we'd like half. How about half? Could you give us half of the number of days that we needed before? Because then we could just have so many more people who just tested positive, just get back to work. And, Dr. Fauci says it's about, getting people back to work and running the economy now. And so we seem to be just going down that pathway. It's crazy, right? It's like, what just happened? We're doing what now? Huh. Interesting. Well, okay. We'll just keep going in that direction. See how it goes. So continue to see this stuff. This stuff's going to keep popping up, and it's going to keep being a deal. And hopefully as the holidays kind of pass here, what's our next holiday after this? President's Day? That doesn't even count, does it? So ridiculous. Valentine's Day? What do we have? What do we have coming up? I should have consulted my calendar before I did this, but I was so enthralled with the concept that Seattle had the number one airport with cancellations in the world that I was just all focused on that. So here we are. All right. That's it for me on this one. Don't fly anywhere. How about that? Or if you do, really have your stuff dialed in, and don't be afraid if you lose your luggage and all that good stuff. Okay. Thanks again for being here. I hope that you're having a great 2022. I should have said, we'll see you next year on a few of my podcasts in the last couple of days, but that's always just so corny, and that's why it makes it funny when you're actually going to see somebody like the next day and it's the new year. That's always a good one, right? I hope you're having a great year, however it's starting off for you. Maybe it's starting off crappy. That's okay too, because then that means you've got lots of room for improvement. Glass half full. All right. Thanks again for being here. Thanks again for being a part of the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. I will catch up with you soon. We'll talk then. Bye for now.